Hey, Grampian Nation, welcome back today. And today only, we have for you a 12 time, this is ridiculous, a 12-time national champion in boxing. So he's not going to hit you in the face, but also a 3-time Olympic champion. Hang on, because coming at you is going to be Cam F. Awesome. Be right back.
In 2013, I coined the name Grampian, and I gave it to your host, Jim Tracy.
Cam F. Awesome, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm good. It's a good day. I had a good workout this morning. So it was a good day.
So you're coming at us from Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I just moved here in July from by way of Kansas City.
By way of Kansas City. So you take us back in your history a little bit. I always like people want to know where you began. So before you started hitting people in the face.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So before I started hitting people in the face, I was getting hit in the face.
Okay.
In Long Island, New York. So I was dealing with bullying in school, and it was more physical bullying. And in high school, I wanted to just kind of make a change. So I decided to join the boxing gym because I thought if I looked like a boxer, people would leave me alone.
Yeah.
And it worked. And then once you learn how to fight, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Funny how that works.
Well, you survived with a pretty good nose yet, man.
So my whole objective in boxing was not to get hit.
Yeah.
Because most people get it, they try to knock people out. I had one objective. It was not to get hit. If I happened to hit you, if it wasn't too inconvenient, I'd hit you. But my number one objective was not to be hit. Like I wanted to keep my marbles.
All right. Well, that's a good objective. And I'm a senior citizen, so don't be taking any swings at me. All right.
We're both retired then, right?
All right. You don't want to get nailed for elder abuse, right?
No.
All right. So, so Long Island via Kansas City through to.
So actually, Long Island, born and raised. I started boxing at 16. Then my senior year of high school, my parents moved down to Florida, where this is what changed my life because I was this like awkward, clumsy, unconfident, and anxious person in New York. But when I got to Florida, I realized I could just pretend to be whoever I wanted to, and I pretended to be the person I always wanted to be. Which so many times in our life we want to change something about ourselves, but we haven't conditioned the people around us that we've changed, so we fall back into those same old patterns.
Yeah.
So when I got to Florida, I was just like, I was 17 years old. I was like, I'm just going to pretend I'm this confident, cocky, loud, outgoing person that I always secretly wanted to be, and everyone thought I was that guy. It worked, but here's the reason why it worked. My boxing gym was 6 miles away from my high school. So I had to walk 6 miles every day. It would take me about 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And it was transformative to me because I didn't have music. So I would just make up stories in my head. And in all these stories, I was knocking everyone out. I had all the girls, all the cars, all the jewelry. None of this was true. But there was a correlation between how highly I spoke about myself and how well I did in the gym that day.
Yeah.
And it made me a more cocky, confident person. I tricked myself into believing in myself.
Yeah.
And within 2 years of boxing, I became the number one heavyweight in the country.
Right on. So you created
never making a team before.
You created and crafted your own headlines, and then you read them and believed them.
Man, you should be the speaker. Man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Well, you're a speaker. I mean, one of the things I love about having speakers on is that we have no shortage of words or thoughts, and we tend to spool up a lot quicker than other people. And so I'm just going to try and keep up with you. So you spent this childhood. What drew you into boxing? What was it about boxing other than people like wailing on you? So you have found a way to fight back?
It sounds like that, and it's romanticized that way. But it was the only free gym in my neighborhood, and that was right up my price range. If it was a gymnastics gym, I might have been pole vaulting. I don't, or whatever they do over there.
Yeah.
It happened to be the only free, like a community gym. So
right on.
I did it.
And so was there a coach in your background? I love coaching. Is there a coach in your background who you look and you say, that guy, that gal, that person, they were the ones who really drew me in, and I can look at them and go, wow, that I can attribute a lot of my success to that individual.
At the time, at the time, I didn't realize what he was doing. But when I moved to Florida, there's a guy named Ralph Morgolo. He's a dirty mouth Italian from New Jersey. He was a Marine and
Tough
he
guy.
cursed like a sailor. Tough guy. And he had a great sense of humor. And when he met me in the gym, I was a jokester and I worked out really hard, but I had fun and I would mess around and everything.
Yeah.
And he would always give me a hard time. And he ended up coaching me. And I know he made less than $500 a month from his retirement, whatever.
Yeah.
So we would drive up and down the coast of Florida looking for people for me to fight, because at my weight class it was hard to find and we would drive 5 hours up to Jacksonville in his little pickup truck, and we would split a Subway sub because it was all he could afford.
Yeah.
But I was so cocky, and I thought it was taking too long for me to be the number one boxer in the world, like 2 years in the sport.
Yeah.
And he believed me.
Wow.
Now in hindsight, I realized he just encouraged me.
Yeah.
But every so often I was like, am I just blowing smoke? And I was like, no, he believes me.
Yeah.
And we would just travel around. And because I believed it, and I believe that he believed it, I won so much. And what he did that was truly transformative in my life is I was the first national championship boxer he's ever had.
Oh, wow.
That's a big coaches don't the way it's difficult for a boxer to win a national championship, it's even harder for a coach.
Yeah.
So if you get one of those boxers, you never want to let them out of your sight.
Right on.
After I won my first national championship with me, he connected me with another coach in Kansas City. And he said, I took you as far as I can take you. I don't have the finances, the resources, or the skill.
Yeah.
Go with this coach in Kansas City. He has the resources and he can give you a better future.
Wow.
And the fact that my coach Ralph let me go, let like the greatest boxer he's ever had go to give me a chance at a better shot,
oh, wow,
is why I am where I am.
Speaks to the character of the man. Ralph Margolo, man, tip of the cap to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Plus,
he's
you gotta be a tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
If your name is Ralph Margolo and you're from New Jersey, you better be a tough guy.
Yeah, Ralph's a tough guy. And he said if I go to Kansas, it doesn't work out, come back and we'll figure things out.
Yeah.
But grateful that he let me go.
Right on. So you move up to Kansas City and you've won your first national championship. And so when you're in the ring and you've not let anybody hit you for a while, so you win your national championship, what is that dopamine hit that you're walking out of that ring with now?
Oh, I saw boxers before me who found success and fell off. Because usually when a boxer wins their first national championship, they come home, they party, they get fat. And I saw that and I said, I'm going to pretend this doesn't mean anything to me. Because I didn't want to change anything.
I don't want to be that guy.
And I thought if I were to make nationals into this huge milestone, it would be difficult to recreate.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to put it on a pedestal. I treat fights just like a sparring session.
Yeah.
And I treat the finals of the nationals the same way I don't make it seem special. And it seems like I don't care. And it's not that I don't care. It's that when we put things on pedestals as people, it makes it almost unattainable.
Yeah. For sure. All right. So you arrived 12 times. 12x, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the hardest part of enduring? I mean, now, because you're talking decade plus, did you win 12 consecutive?
No.
So how many years did this take to go 12x?
It took, so 2008 to 2017. So almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So my philosophy in boxing, Jim, if let's say we're the same age and weight, and you have 100 boxing matches, and I have 3 boxing matches, and we were to fight, who should win?
Well, the guy with more, with more matches, right? More
It's not rocket
experience.
science.
Yeah. So
It's not
fight or
rocket. So
loss.
I thought I didn't care about my record because your record doesn't matter. It's how good you are that matters.
Yeah.
It's like who shows up to the next fight.
Right on.
So my thought was I didn't care about my record. The average boxer has 40 to 50 fights at most.
Mm-hmm.
I figured if I just get to 100 fights, all the fights after that become relatively easy.
Okay.
So I had more experience than every other boxer.
Oh, wow.
So when every 4 years the Olympic cycle happens, everyone retires. So in 2008, I qualified for the Olympic trials. I lost. All the boxers that lost turned pro or quit.
Yeah.
No one sticks around. I was like, well, if I stick around, aren't I automatically the best?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to be said for that, right?
So many times in life when we fall short or we fail, that's when we want to give up. But that's when we have experience on our side.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that, you're a 3-time Olympic team champion. And one time you're not only the national champ, but you're captain of the U.S. team.
Yeah, I was captain for about 10 years.
Oh, dude. So when you put your sweats on and it's got the red, white, and blue on the back and on the front, what is that like? I mean, you're repping our country.
I can't tell you how cool that is to say you're from, first of all, being from America, you're just cool. Like you go to other countries, you go to Ukraine, when they know you're from America, they love, like, also, if you've ever had the opportunity to be a black dude in Ukraine, it's a great time. Even if they don't speak the language, they'll run up to you. They're like, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and they'll rap music to you to let you know they love your culture. And like, it was so cool to be out there. And so to be captain and to be able to wave the flag. And I used to call myself Cam America. I really embraced it was because it was so cool. And here in the United States, no one cares about being from America because we're all from America.
Yeah.
But like when you get to leave, it's such a cool experience to see how people idolize you just from being from a place.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what part of the world you go to, whether you're on the Pacific Rim or whether you're in Africa or whether you're in Europe, everybody wants to live here. I mean, we seldom recognize how blessed we are to be citizens of the good old US of A, man.
Oh, I'll go one further because in boxing, the best boxing gyms are in the toughest, poorest neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Right? Same goes in other countries. So I was the number one boxer in the US. We would go to other countries and we would go where their boxers are to train with their boxers.
Yeah.
And when you go to the Dominican Republic, you don't get to stay in the resort.
Yeah.
You stay where they stay.
Yeah.
You stay on water mattresses.
Yeah.
You don't have air conditioning.
Yeah.
They live a different life, and it taught me to be grateful. Like, I'm complaining if my Wi-Fi is slow and like my water is room temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's given me such perspective on life because I've been to over 30 countries representing Team USA. And it taught me a lot about so many cultures and backgrounds. And I love culture. I love seeing the way different people live and their family structures and the reason why they do things. I love culture.
Incredible, incredible. So, but this wasn't a ride that was free of obstacles. You were on the Olympic team, and then they said, "Hey, Cam, we got good news and we got bad news." What's the bad news?
Yeah. The good news is I became awesome. I'll tell you the bad news. I won the Olympic trial. I qualified for the Olympic trials in 2008 and I lost, but then I stuck around. I won nationals in 2008, 9, 10, 11. And then 2012, I won the U.S. Olympic trials to represent the U.S. in the London Olympics. And then I left the country to fight in Azerbaijan, a country I've been to 4 times, but still can't spell without spell check. But I forgot to tell the drug testing agency I was leaving the country.
Okay.
They showed up to my home in Kansas City. They gave me a random drug test. Missed drug test is a positive drug test. I was suspended for a positive drug test.
Oh my.
Even though I tested negative to even compete in the tournament in the World's Games, Azerbaijan, by the same drug testing organization. And it fully my responsibility. I should have sent them an email and let them know, and now I could even send them a text.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything
The
I
rules
worked
were the
towards
rules.
because rules were the rules.
Yeah.
Of course, I see it like that now, but being so close to it before, I was just hurt.
It had to be
Uh,
crushing.
yeah, I put a lot of eggs in that basket.
Yeah. Wow.
I I I I didn't hang out with friends. I didn't see family because I traveled 300 plus days a year with it was my complete life, and I figured. And the thing is, I don't even like boxing. I just chose the gym because it was a free gym.
Yeah.
My thought process was if I got good enough at boxing, I'd get my own TV show
Yeah.
because I wanted to be a performer. Like that was,
Right on.
and then I got kicked off the Olympic team, and I realized that I dedicated my life because I told people I'm only boxing so I can have my own TV show. That was, and then I got suspended. I realized I did all this boxing. I've done zero type of performing,
Yeah.
acting. I've done nothing.
Yeah.
And I realized I didn't like where my life was headed. And I believe in meritocracy in the sense of skill.
Mm-hmm.
The more you do something, the better you'll be. Maybe
Yeah.
not access, but it's everything I have is I'm in control of my own destiny.
There you go.
I've always felt that way.
Right
and
on.
I take full responsibility when I win. I celebrate when I win, and I celebrate
Yeah.
I eat my losses on my own.
Yeah.
So in 2012, I decided I showed up to a comedy club on a Tuesday night, and I started doing open mic nights, and I started performing comedy during my suspension. Wasn't very good at first, but my thought process was, if you got on stage 100 times and I got on stage 3 times, who's going to be better?
There you go.
So I used a little bit of athlete fame I had in Kansas City, and I was able to sell tickets. So I performed at comedy clubs all over the Midwest and then around the country during my suspension. And when I returned to boxing, I realized that I gave up everything for boxing. And when boxing was taken from me, I had nothing.
Got to have a backup plan.
I have no degree. I have no skills. I have no certifications.
Yeah.
So I said, I've put so much into boxing. I'm going to go back to boxing.
Yeah.
But when I go back to boxing, I am going to milk boxing for everything it can give me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I return, the first thing I'm doing is I'm legally changing my last name to Awesome. I'm an entertainer. I started wearing capes. I fight in a pink skirt. I flip into the ring. I do dances. I do crazy interviews because I'm no longer a boxer. I stopped identifying as an athlete and I started identifying as an entertainer.
And people are going to remember me.
People will remember me. And I saw so many people around me who identified as athletes, retired, and lost their identity.
Wow. Yeah.
I didn't want that to be me.
Wow. So, when you do that bounce back, because I mean, it's got, like I said, it's got to be crushing to be on the Olympic team, and then like they call you and they're like, "Okay, dude, like have a nice afternoon, but you're not one of us anymore." How do you bounce back?
That phone call was actually a 3-day hearing. There was a lot of rules in person in Colorado.
Let's stretch the misery out.
It was, and I can laugh about it now, but the hardest part about losing, whether it's boxing or life, is like, especially when you know you're capable.
Mm-hmm.
In loss, the hardest part is how long it takes to prove that you're not a failure or not a loser.
Yeah. To yourself.
And I knew I was like, to yourself, I was like, okay, I can't prove this for at least a year.
Wow. So, what kind of internal dialogue do you have with yourself when this is going on, bro?
So I here's the thing about internal dialogue. You hear your voice so often you don't hear it. You just respond to it. And when I was walking to the gym in high school, like my positive internal dialogue was on fire. And then when I was ready to return to boxing, I'd gained a lot of weight and I had to get back in shape. And I couldn't get myself to lose the weight. And I'd work out for a few days, I'd fall off. I'd work out for a few days, I'd fall off. And I found myself beating myself up. You fat idiot, you loser, a lot of curse words. And I realized there's a difference between 2012 Cam during the suspension and Cam who walked to high school.
Yeah.
One of us liked me.
Yeah.
And I like to ask people, how often do you think about what you think about? You think about you more. Jim, do you have kids?
Only
Obviously,
5.
as a grandpa, only 5. Let's go with the middle one because no one, that's one usually people forget about.
Okay.
Who's your middle child?
Terry.
Terry.
She.
Okay. So she. Okay.
Yeah.
So Terry. So the you love Terry, right?
Yeah, obviously.
You still think about yourself more than you think about Terry.
Oh yeah.
And even when you think about your kids that you love, whose kids are they? They're your
They're
kids.
my
It's a
kids,
selfish
yeah.
thought. You don't care about my sister's kids. She doesn't have any,
Right.
so you
It's not
shouldn't.
about
But
kids, right? It's about me.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's about you. So what do you think about you? What are the things you tell yourself?
Yeah.
Let's say you scheduled this Zoom meeting, this virtual meeting for us, and you did the wrong time zone, and you got on the meeting early or late.
Yeah.
Would you be like, "Oh, Jim, you idiot, you stupid, you never get anything right"?
Yeah.
It's like we talk about ourselves in this way so much that we don't realize it.
Yeah.
What would you do if Terry spoke to you the way you speak to yourself?
Wow. That would make me
Here's
incredibly sad.
okay. What if Terry spoke to Terry the way you speak to yourself?
Yeah. I would probably add some correction. Yeah.
So
Although she's past 30 now, so they correct me.
yeah.
It's already flipped, bro.
Oh, don't worry. I'm 36. I'm correcting my dad.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
just
so it's like,
remember, it's going to come back to haunt you too.
oh, let's hope not.
Yeah.
But that's what hit me was my internal dialogue. And I was like, oh, I will only get up to work out if I like me.
Mm.
That's the fuel.
Yeah.
And I had so much fuel when I was walking to the gym because I was talking good about myself.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's free to talk good about yourself.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though. We're very weird about talking too highly of ourselves because we don't want to make other people feel bad.
Yeah.
I threw away the concept. I stopped caring.
Right on.
Here's a quote. I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am.
Wow.
Again, but the thing is, I don't know what you think. So, I'll say that again. So I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am because I don't know what you think.
All right.
So I can only assume I am what I think you think I am.
Yeah.
So I decided I was just going to think you think I'm awesome.
There you go. Hence a new last name. So
yeah, not just the last name. I did it on my half birthday, and I had what I called an afterbirth day party. And I brought all my friends out. We celebrated the death of the old me.
All right.
And so every culture, whether it's the Jewish people with bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras for the Mexican culture, a lot of cultures have this time in a person's life where you stop treating them like a child and you start treating them like an adult.
Right.
We don't have that so much in American culture.
Oh, we have this ugly adolescence, right?
We do. So
we don't have that in my family, just so you know. I was like, we outlawed that. We're like, okay, so the day you turn 16, I'm going to buy you a shotgun and I'm going to treat you like a man or I'm going to treat you like a woman instead of like a kid. So don't be acting like that.
So you need that. And then, so your dad did that with you. So when do you do that with yourself?
Yeah.
And I think, and maybe you don't need to change your last name, but I think in everyone's life, there should be a time where you go through something, you decide to reinvent yourself. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you can set new standards for yourself.
Yeah.
You can create new boundaries for yourself. You can create expectations for other people. And when I changed my last name to Awesome, I got to reintroduce myself to everyone.
Yeah.
And with them, my new expectations of life.
Yeah. So how did your family handle that when you said, I am now Cam F. Awesome?
Well, my mom didn't click like on Facebook. That's where she found out. I'm not going to ask her.
Really?
You're not. Yeah. She would say no.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to ask for forgiveness. She still calls me Cameron.
Cameron. Okay.
She said she didn't give birth to any Awesome. It's like, okay.
Well, okay. So let's go back to boxing for a minute, because I know that I boxed a little bit in college, and I met this guy, and he just gave me such a tremendous beatdown. I thought there's no career in this for me. They called me Ernie Shavers for a while because I could take anybody's punch, and I was a
Yeah.
punching bag. So
Yeah.
um,
That's a bad person to be in the boxing sphere.
well, I mean, he got one. He got one. Muhammad Ali said he hit harder than anybody that he fought. So I mean, there's Ernie
Really?
Shavers' claim to fame. However,
Yeah.
he also took a lot of a lot of punches.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned all these strategies, but now you're in the ring, and then they pull out the stool. They say, "Cam, sit down. You're going to get 1 minute off, and then you're going to have to go back in and face this guy." What are your strategies about sitting on that stool and spending time wondering if you're going to win against this guy?
Yeah. So I don't sit down in between rounds. Never did. You don't sit down in between rounds in sparring.
Okay.
The thing that you're doing to prepare for a fight. Why would you do
Right.
something completely different in a fight? Also, when the bell would ring, so a lot of boxing is mental.
Mhm.
And Jim,
Oh,
if we
yeah.
were fighting, I want you to know that I'm better than you.
Mhm.
Not just as a fighter, as a human being,
Yeah.
as a brother, as an uncle, as a lover. I am better than I pay my taxes before you. And I need you to know that I'm better than you.
Yeah.
So when we're fighting, I just need you to believe it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if I get you to believe it a little bit, it opens up a crack of insecurity in you. And I just pry that open with a crowbar.
Uh-huh.
So one of the things I would do in a boxing match is you throw your jab. The first thing I do is I slip it, I throw an uppercut. You throw it again, I slip it, I throw an uppercut. You throw a jab third time, I slip it, you close your eyes, you know you're going to get hit with an uppercut.
And you get
But I don't throw it. No, I don't throw it.
Okay.
You open your eyes and I'm there.
Yeah.
And I smile. Now you know anytime you throw that jab, I'm going to hit you with an uppercut.
Yeah.
So now you can't throw your favorite punch, the most popular punch.
Yeah.
Once I do that to your right hand, you're completely frustrated. Then the bell rings for you to go back to your corner. I walk you there because I want you to know I'm still better than you, Jim.
Yeah.
And I let you sit down, and then I walk back to my corner, and then I stand. I stand and I watch you sit down.
Yeah.
Because when you stand up, I want to hold eye contact with you.
Yeah. Are you talking during
I want
this
you to feel
time?
this.
Or are you just like you're just there?
I'm there and I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm comfortable, and I want you to know that I'm comfortable.
Yeah. So what do you think of the MMA thing, MMA fighters, and they do this pose and they're like, yeah, I'm going to kill you, blah, 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 blah. And they're just running their mouth. I mean, you're like countercultural to that.
Yeah. I decided to take a different approach.
Uh-huh.
So some of those guys, the idea is like, you have to sell a fight. You got to get people to want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big WWF fan back in the day, and how they would do promos.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to get people engaged. The guys who do all that and like, I'll murder your family and all that, they just want to sell tickets.
Yeah.
And both guys know that. Like, I don't hate you. We actually used to train 2 years ago together.
Yeah.
I actually know your family.
Yeah.
But we got to sell these tickets. So also, I need you to tell everyone you're going to kill my family too.
Yeah.
Like, but my approach
Your
was
mom made me dinner.
joy. Yeah. My approach was, so if any picture you look on me online, I've got a thumbs up and a goofy smile.
Right on.
And I do that because I want people to know that boxing has nothing to do with being tough. It has to do with being smart.
Yeah.
And the smarter you are, the less tough you have to be. And that's why I want everyone to know you can smile, you can be happy. You don't have to be this angry person. It's a rule. It's a game with rules.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I did is I studied the rules. I looked up what the rules were.
Yeah.
Jim, if you hit me, you get a point. If I hit you, I get a point. If I hit you once and you don't hit me at all, I win.
Yeah.
So my strategy is I'd hit you with a punch and then I'd run from you until you're tired. And eventually you grow frustrated. And the second you slip up and get frustrated and throw a wild punch, I counter you.
Yeah.
Now I'm up 2-0.
Yeah, right on.
And I'm not throwing hard punches. It's effortless for me. So as you get tired and frustrated, I get better.
Yeah. Well, you'd be ahead like 30-0 with me, and I'd never catch you. So, then you get through with your boxing career. You've really accomplished something that's extraordinary because you've got longevity and you've got excellence. and you decide, man, I think what I'm going to do is become a motivational speaker.
Uh,
How do you
kind of.
get there?
So through when I returned to boxing, first year I came back in 2013, I won nationals and reclaimed my spot
Hmm.
as captain of the USA national team. And I won nationals every year until 2016. But while I was traveling and fighting, I was doing stand up. Uh, I fought in a casino in Reno, Nevada, in the Olympic trials in 2016, and I performed at the Laugh Factory next door in the casino
Uh-huh.
the week leading up to toe, because again, I no longer want to box. What I was doing is I was setting myself up to transition out of sports,
Yeah.
and my plan was to do that through comedy. But I was also going back to schools at the time and speaking about bullying, why I
Hmm.
originally got involved in boxing.
Sure.
And I would spend the last 5 minutes of each talk trying out my stand up,
Yeah.
because it was an open mic. So I was like, I have an audience, and the students liked the 5 minutes more than they liked the entire speech.
Yeah.
So I made that 5 minutes the entire hour.
Yeah.
And so I started doing stand up at schools. I do storytelling jokes. All the jokes have morals and messages attached to it.
Sure.
And I got really good at it. And what I wanted to do, Jim, when I first started boxing, was I wanted my own TV show. I wanted to be a performer,
Hmm.
right? And the first interview, and it's still online, if you look me up, my Team USA bio, it asked height, weight, reach, all that. The final question was, what are your goals in and outside the ring? And it's up there still to this day. It's to be a good role model and to host my own TV show.
All right.
Grant, I didn't get to host a TV show. I got a
Yeah.
Netflix show, a movie, and that's cool. So did part of that. But the idea is I got to be a good role model and perform. And I do this at schools.
Hmm.
And it picked up so well that they would have me come back and talk to the teachers. And then I would start talking to district employees. And now I found myself in the corporate world speaking to weirdly people with a lot of college degrees, and I don't have any.
I understand completely. You know what? As a small businessman who moved into a large business and then got involved with investment bankers and those kind of folks, I was kind of a dumb tower climber, and they couldn't figure out that they can't do what I can do, and I can't do what they can do. So let's just meet in the middle and let's make a little bit of money and make everybody happy. And so, yeah, that's that degree's got nothing on me, man.
Oh, here's the thing about degrees too. Like before they meant something. What I believe the only thing college can really do for you at this point is the connections for
Hmm.
networking. I think that's very valuable.
Yeah.
But other than that, college sells information. There's AI out there. Information's free at this point. It's like, what are you doing with the information?
Right.
Like all of the information in life is out there. And now with like ChatGPT and AI, you can do anything you want. It's your discipline to be able to execute.
Yeah. So one of the things that happened, I got a book coming out, and I just got this little disc that you can put on your cover, and everybody's going to see it in the next few weeks. But it's like human. This is like certified human written, human author. And you wrote a book. Which name? You got a copy of it with you? Because I haven't.
I do.
I always read them, but I heard about you before I found out you were an author, and now you're becoming awesome. But you're already awesome. But in more ways than one. But tell us about the book. Why did you write it, and what is it about?
So and I'll be completely transparent because all I know how to do. I'm a speaker, and I didn't intend to be a speaker. I want to do stand up, but I found myself speaking. I found success doing that.
Yeah.
The cool thing is and I don't open them because I don't want to open message from children, but I get all these Instagram messages from kids after my talks about what they're going through in life and how they connected with me and the thank yous.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never really saw myself as a speaker, but I found myself doing that. And after I speak, they're like, you need to write a book. And I was like, sure. And then I've heard that for years. And then I just decided to write a book. I released it December of 2023, December 4th.
Uh-huh.
Weirdly, I released it on Jay-Z's birthday. I start every New Year's on December 4th. So by the time January 1st comes on, I got a 3 to 4 week head start on everyone. It's running momentum. I do it every year. So I released my book on December 4th. It's when I start my New Year's. And now I have a book.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, I don't know what to do with a book. I have a book. I have a bunch of copies of a book.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants these copies, but And here's the thing, which is very weird because I wrote this book different than a normal person would write a book. I wrote this book for me. If someone else would like to read this book and get
Yeah.
value out of this book, I didn't write this book to pander to anyone.
Right.
I believe in personal accountability. I believe I'm not a victim. I believe I can control my circumstances. So I dedicated this book to myself.
Right on.
I think more people need to do things for them because in life, when you're frustrated and you're tired and you don't want to keep going, you think about why you're doing something. And a lot of the times we're doing something because we don't really know why, or we don't want to. We have to.
Yeah.
So I wrote this book for me, and it's how I found success in becoming awesome and not caring what other people think about me and creating. And basically, I have the pen to my own book.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Very cool. You know, in similar fashion, I did not write a book for people. I wrote a book for my children and my grandchildren so that they could meet the people who were in my past that they'll never get a chance to meet. And so and people were looking at it and they're like, dude, when are you publishing this? I'm like, I'm not. And a publisher got a hold of me and said, yeah, you are. It's just a matter of whether you have the discipline to edit it and go through the editing process, which is incredibly painful, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
You think
I didn't think it was
everybody
that.
hates you. You don't feel very awesome when the editor comes in, do you?
Yeah. I was like, right after I wrote the book, because like I write all the time and I have a lot of these stories like I've written down. I just don't. I write blogs, but I don't publish them. I just basically I journal in my phone basically. So I had a lot of writing, and I was like, "Oh, writing a book's easy. Why are people so dramatic?" And then I got through the editing process. I was like, "Oh, this is
you really do hate me, don't you, editor?"
Yeah. Do you? Because if it's your stories, it feel like, oh, remove this part of yourself.
Yeah. And by the way, when I went through the first editing process, I went it through with my wife, who I found out didn't love me anymore because she hated everything I wrote. And then I went through it with an editor, and then I went through it with a line editor, and then I went through it with never mind.
Oh yeah,
you get it. Anyway, they didn't all hate me.
Yeah,
it just felt like it.
How many? Yeah, So I even in the book, I talk about spotlight syndrome.
Yeah.
It's this idea that we think everyone's paying attention to us.
Yeah.
Like if we were to dig our nose in our car, everyone noticed. Like we don't realize that no one cares and no one's paying attention to us. Exactly. You go to the gym and you wonder if everyone could notice that you're not lifting a lot of weight. No one cares.
Yeah.
No one's noticing. It's like whatever insecurities we have.
Don't get off and then bump it up 30 pounds.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Who does that? Yeah. No, and I found that about myself. And even when I look back at my suspension, because I was reading the comments and I was in my feelings and first of all, they replaced me immediately.
Yeah.
Like the team didn't even mourn. There was no ceremony for me, nothing. And I realized, no, once a week had passed, no one had cared.
Yeah.
It was just me that cared. And I thought every time I went out in public, I thought people, that's the guy who didn't go to the Olympics. And it's like, no one actually cares. Everyone has their own life to deal with.
Right on. Yeah, for sure. So in writing, in boxing, in stand-up, and especially in speaking, there's a high level of discipline to keep your eye on the ball all the time and to stay ready all the time. Especially, I mean, in speaking more than anything, I found that like I have to be ready because someone calls and like they got a gig and you go, sure, I can be there tomorrow. I mean, the guy you really want to cancel, and I'll be there. And I'm gonna make you so happy that he canceled. But in order to do that, you have to exercise that discipline on a continual basis to stay ready. How do you stay ready? How do you keep your A game going?
So I think discipline is something that's internal, and you see the results externally, but it's completely internal.
Mm-hmm.
What my fear in boxing was, I had two fears. First fear was getting knocked out and becoming my opponent's profile picture. Like, do you remember back in the day when like Michael Jordan would dunk on someone?
Yeah.
And they get posterized?
Oh yeah.
That was my fear. And because that was my fear, I never wanted to get knocked out. I made sure I trained so hard.
Yeah.
And it was my fear of embarrassment that instilled discipline in me.
Yeah.
And then I realized that discipline transfers to other places of my life.
Right on.
And although if I miss the gym, no one's going to punch me in the face. But I now make an agreement with myself where I will personally not be content or happy unless I go to the gym.
Yeah.
And if I don't go to the gym, I don't allow myself to be happy. Because if I don't allow myself to suffer, there's no actual real benefit to there's no downside of me skipping the gym.
Yeah. And fear of failure is a tremendous motivator. It's one of the things that, like, people say, are you terrified to get on stage? And I'm like, no, man, I just really dig it. But I don't dig it when I'm not ready. I really don't dig it when I'm not ready. So if you've ever had the audience go, oof, you know that, like, you just, like, it's devastating.
Yeah, you weren't prepared.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another thing boxing taught me. Yeah, boxing taught me, because I would walk to the ring, I'd flip in the ring, I'd do dances to the ring, regardless. But I danced way more freely when I knew I trained 100%.
Yeah. Right.
But when I started skipping the gym, because life happens, stuff with family, whatever, life, dating, and if I don't train 100%, I'm dancing towards the ring. But it's a little bit different of a dance, because I realize I'm not as prepared, and I'm like, okay, now I'm putting risk in it, because now I have to hope he's not as prepared either.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you ever stepped into the ring and thought, man, this guy looks huge? I mean, I got in this ring, and the guy who they talked about beat me up. He was like 5'8". I mean, he's like down there, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill this guy. And he hit me so hard, so fast, so many times, I thought I was surrounded. And I found out later he was a collegiate running back. But the essence is that the guy that I thought was going to take me out juiced me so much that I won, and the guy who I wasn't worried about just, like, pummeled me.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm non-confrontational.
Yeah.
Because, like, you go to nationals and you're at the weight class, at weigh-ins, dudes with their shirts off, beating on their chests, being tough, and then there's a group of goofy kids in the corner sitting crisscross applesauce and playing cards or playing a game.
Yeah.
Those are the killers.
Be scared of them.
Because they hurt everyone, or they won last year.
Yeah.
They don't have to pretend to be tough. There's no insecurity there.
Right.
There are guys who are walking around. Everyone I know who knows how to fight does not want to fight.
Yeah.
It's always the guy who doesn't know how to fight who wants to. Yeah.
I was always afraid.
Also, what if I hit you? First of all, I hit you, I'm going to break my hand.
Yeah.
I might break your skull, or you might hit your head on the ground and die. I didn't like timeout as a child. Yeah. I'm not going to like prison.
Yeah. I had 6 brothers, so none of us went to prison, but we always beat each other up. Yeah. It's a great training ground. So now you're out in the corporate environment, and you're talking to groups, large groups sometimes, and you're saying, hey, here's a lesson that I have for you. What lessons, what trails do you take them down?
I think, I guess discipline is internal. Everything else is shown in the external. Uh-huh. And one of the internal things is your positive internal dialogue.
Yeah.
Or it should be positive internal dialogue. It is your internal dialogue. Yeah. Sometimes it's not as positive as we think it is.
Yeah.
And if that's the fuel for your engine, and the engine is to help you get to your goals, what type of performance would you expect with a negative internal dialogue?
Yeah.
So I help audiences find ways to be resilient.
Yeah.
I believe boxing is the greatest metaphor for life, because we're all fighting our own personal battles.
Yeah. And you never know what somebody's battle is like, man. Do you find yourself getting empathetic?
Yes. And I'm not a naturally empathetic person.
Yeah.
I have this thought process.
People for a living usually aren't that empathetic, man. I feel so bad I'm going to crush you.
Yeah, I always saw emotion as a weakness.
Yeah.
Because I saw emotion as something that you can't normally control. And so in the book, I talk the formula of success in my mind is 1 + 2 = 3. In this equation, you are 1. You should always be your own number 1. Mm-hmm. No one's going to believe in you until you believe in yourself. Once you believe in yourself, you take the actions of a person who believes in themselves, preparation. And then once you're prepared, you find success. That creates a pattern. People recognize that pattern, then they believe in you.
Right.
But that can't happen until you believe in yourself. 1 + 2 = 3. Yeah. 3 is the goal, the objective, the outcome.
Right on.
1 + 2 = 3. What do you think 2 is?
What other
It's the
people
work.
think of you, and then the
No,
work.
never.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's appropriately named number 2 because it's the crappy part of the job.
Yeah.
It's the actual physical labor. And what is hard work? Because it's so subjective, Jim. Like, there's a guy who's sitting in Wi-Fi for 8 hours a day. He gets 2 breaks, and he's on TikTok most of the day. After the day, he's like, oh, I worked so hard. There's also a lady in the Congo with a baby strapped to her back,
Oh my God.
mining cobalt for 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
She also thinks she works hard.
Yeah.
Hard work is very subjective. We think we're working hard, but like in the big picture, are we actually working hard? And this is something you have to ask yourself.
Mm.
So I saw that as equation. Me plus working hard equals success.
Okay.
There's no room in this equation for your emotions. Because emotions, Jim, if you ever had a breakup, Monday you break up with a girl, Wednesday you hate her to death, Thursday you're wondering if she's talking to anyone, Friday you kind of miss her, Saturday you hate her again, Sunday you drunk texted her. You shouldn't make any decisions based off your emotions because they're fleeting.
Yeah.
So when it comes to goals and hard work, I'm very goal oriented, and I have always suppressed my own emotions to reach the goal because my goals are that important to me.
Yeah.
Some people would say that's flawed thinking, but because I treat myself in this way to reach these high goals,
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't left room for me to have empathy for others. And in this new venture of life and speaking and connecting with people, I'm for the first time starting to develop empathy and see the importance of caring about certain things.
Yeah.
So that's just me being transparent about the process, because I'd like to say, oh, yeah, I care. But it's like, I don't even care about my own BS. Bro, I don't care if your dog's dead. You hit the gym. Like, my opponent doesn't care that my mom is sick. You hit the gym. Nothing matters besides the goals.
Yeah.
In a sense. But as I get older, I'm starting to see the importance in other things.
Yeah.
But if you want to reach your goal, if your goals are that important, be single-minded.
Yeah. So on a go forward basis, as you look at where you're at now, and you're going out and you're establishing yourself as really a world-class speaker, on the back of boxing and on the back of a bit of comedy and stuff like that, as you look forward, what's the next goal?
Ooh, my next goal is to continue to grow in the speaking world,
Mm-hmm.
but continue to do that. The focus is comedy, though. That's what I want to be when I grow up.
Okay.
So I moved to Austin, Texas in July to pursue comedy. There's a lot of open mics here and a lot of opportunities to do comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved here. I'm hitting open mics 3 or 4 nights a week that I'm in town. And when I travel on the road, when I can, I hit mics. So just continue to perform, find things to challenge myself. Because if I'm being honest, Jim, my life has gotten relatively easy.
Mm.
And I see how this can be turned into a habit. I don't have to set an alarm. I can just hit, and I can see how to do something. So now I'm consciously implementing difficult things in my life, just to make sure I don't get comfortable.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm doing, but I signed up for a bodybuilding contest in July, because it forced me to be disciplined food wise and workout wise.
Yeah.
I've never done something like that. Even when I was boxing, I never lifted weights. I was known as a chubby boxer because I realized you didn't need to be strong. If lifting weights requires muscles require oxygen.
Yeah.
You're not going to be as good as a boxer. I'm not trying to hit you hard. I'm trying to hit you strategically. So I've never really lifted weights. So this is a new thing in my life. I'm like, but here's how great life is. Like, I have ChatGPT. I went to get a body scan. I dropped my analytics in there. So it has my body measurements. It's giving me my macros, my micros. It gives me my daily workout plan customized, gives me my meal plan, and I'm just doing what it says.
Mm-hmm.
And like this morning after my workout, I copied and pasted my workout, dropped it in there, said, did this workout today.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is your workout for tomorrow. This is what you should eat today. And if I just follow it, it works.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not rocket science if you just take the action, but sometimes it, like, discipline gets in the way. Like, the Chiefs are playing on Sunday. How do we
Kansas City
react to
corn
that?
chips, man.
Yeah, gotta do it.
All right. So I understand completely what you mean because it also becomes a part of like if you listen to what the experts tell you and believe them, not ChatGPT, but I mean experts. As an example, I got in a pretty bad skiing accident, and I go into the doctor. I said, "Yeah, I got a broken leg. You're gonna pin it and let swelling go down, blah blah blah." And he's like, "No." He's like, "If we don't operate in the next hour, you're gonna lose your leg." And I'm like, "Oh, I might lose my leg." And he's like, "Yeah, you're probably gonna lose your leg." Well, that'd get your attention real quick. And then they said, "Oh, you kept your leg, but you're not gonna walk right again." Well, guess what? I am gonna walk right again. They said, "Yeah, but you're never gonna run." I'm like, "Thank you," because I never liked running. But all of a sudden it kind of went in. I'm like, no, you're not going to tell me that I'm not going to run. So I started doing 5Ks and 5K Spartan type races. And now this coming July, I'm going to run one with my grandkids. I got 14 grandkids,
Oh,
and everybody over 7 is going to do this mud run with me up here in Boise. And so, how is it that who was it that told you, like, you've already done like 5 Olympic trials or 5 national
yeah.
championships? Well, why don't you just hang up your gloves? Was there a guy
Yeah.
like that?
First of all, how cool is it? Yeah, enough of me. How cool is that you're doing that with your grandchildren?
No, that's really cool.
That's that is a goal of mine. I want to be healthy and active in my old age. I'm taking a new approach of quality of life
Hmm.
and mobility, flexibility, and the ability to sit up and stand, get up and sit down is a
Yeah.
big part of that. But in my life, so everyone said in 2008, after I lost in the Olympic trials, I should have turned pro.
Yeah.
And then I won nationals every year. And then 2012, after I got kicked off the Olympic team, that would be the perfect time to turn pro
Oh, yeah.
because I would turn pro. I would get a signing bonus. I'd make a lot of money up on the front end, and I'd have a professional boxing career.
Hmm.
All of the champions of the past, they had to fight me. I beat pretty much every guy in America that became champion at some point because you have to go through the amateurs before you turn pro.
Yeah.
You run into me, you don't beat me, you turn pro, you get a championship belt.
Yeah.
So it's not a far stretch to say I could have just turned pro
Yeah.
and made some money. My 2012 year was a bad year because I was broke, I was poor, like I had no income, and I was trying to do boxing fitness sessions to make money here or there. I could have just turned pro and made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But to me, it was more important that I go to the Olympics and I make that goal because it's not even that it would be easy for me. I could have done it, but just because I can doesn't mean I'm going to. Because again, I never wanted to be a boxer in the first place.
It's a path.
Yeah, I used boxing as basically if I use it as a college degree. If I have a national championship and you have an associate's degree and we apply for the same job in a marketing firm, I'm going to get it. If you have a 4-year degree and I have 4 national championships, I'll probably get the job.
I like that math.
So I believe in athlete privilege.
Yeah.
Remember back in high school, the star football player, he could mess up in school, he could fail, but they still let him play because we got to win.
Yeah.
You get special treatment as an athlete. And after I won enough, I realized I can open up with carrying myself in the correct way and doing the right things. I can open up doors for myself.
Absolutely.
That no one else could otherwise. And through sports and the idea of leveraging what I've done in sports, I've been able to build a pretty successful future for myself using only a fraction of the effort I used in my sport.
Yeah.
So I now talk to athletes, especially athletes like wrestlers or gymnasts or cheerleaders, like sports that there's no professional realm because you dedicate your life from the age of 8 and now you just graduated college and you're a superstar wrestler or the best cheerleader or what or gymnast. Yeah. What do you do? And athletes, I want to teach them ways to leverage what they do if they want to go into construction. Like there's ways to leverage your sports and the connection because whether you're in gymnastics or wrestling, there's someone in that industry who they might have been a college wrestler and now they own a construction company. If they're going to hire someone, they're going to hire someone in their fraternity, their sports fraternity.
Yeah.
It's like
For
different
sure.
ways to leverage what you do to get to where you want to get to in life.
One of the things that I love about how that translates is because when we are able to go talk to people, specifically in the corporate empire, the business world, which that's where my expertise is. When you talk to them, one of the things that they seldom recognize is that if you have a problem in your company, it's because you're not paying the price to get where you want to go. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? How do you translate that in your speaking gigs to an audience that really don't understand what it's like to like crawl back in the ring at dark 30 and eat right and work out more and walk 6 miles to the gym?
Yeah. First, well, even with walking the gym, I ask audiences. So what I want to do is I want to be a successful boxer. To get there, I have to walk 6 miles to the gym every day.
Mm-hmm.
Then I ask, would you be willing to walk 6 miles every day for whatever your goal is? And there's so many people without a question, they say yes. And then some people laugh. And I said, well, if you're not willing to do what it takes, you should choose something else.
Yeah.
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 So, so often what I find, especially in, again, corporate gigs, because I do lots of association and stuff like that, but they say that they are willing. Like one of the questions I have is like, if you don't like your culture, are you willing to do whatever it takes to change the culture so that the people who work for you love their job? And they're like, well, yeah. But when it comes to actually putting that into practice, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Like, what do I actually have to sacrifice? And if it's bite off more than you can chew, do you find the same?
Yeah, I find the same, and I realize I don't talk to companies. I don't talk to employees. I talk to people.
Yeah,
And if you
exactly.
can create the person becomes the employee. You can't create an employee.
Yeah.
So when I talk to people, I don't do it with any kind of quantitative or qualitative research. I talk to people with real life stories about
Uh-huh.
how I got to where I am, where I want to be by taking accountability, responsibility, and the discipline that it takes to be where you want to be.
Yeah.
And also, I explain that it sucks, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm this super disciplined person who I do everything right. It's like I just try to do the small things right.
Yeah.
Because in 2012, I did all the big things. I forgot to send an email.
Yeah.
So it's the
Yeah.
small details that are truly important.
So important. So what we were going to land this plane here pretty quick, but what characteristics do you see that are character traits that you coach people to bring to their workplace?
Ooh, one, I ask people to think about a negative person in their life. We all have a negative person.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, you have that person in your mind?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, does that person think they're negative?
No, probably not. Probably not. No, I don't think they do, but they are.
So how do we know? How do we know we're not that person?
Yeah. Grab a
So
mirror.
someone has to be that person. So I ask, are you the type of person other people want to be around?
Yeah.
Because that's not even the question. The question is, are you a type of person that you want to be around?
Yeah. No
And
kidding.
if you're going to be a leader and you're going to be a part of a team, you should want your team to want to be around you. And are you that person?
Yeah, for sure. Wow. That's a great challenge. That's a great challenge for everybody, whatever your stage, whatever your place in life, man. That is awesome. So, speaking of awesome, Cam F. Awesome. You are now looking down at Cameron, and he's the 18-year-old version of you. Now, you're 18 twice, so you got to throw some wisdom down on this youngin. And what are you gonna tell that? What are you gonna tell that kid?
Uh, I would tell him you're going to have to deal with the consequences of all of your decisions. So make sure they're your decisions to make. Even if everyone disagrees with you, if you have to swim up shit's creek, do it with a smile on your face, knowing that you did it your way. be unconventional, and every so often look at those around you, see where they are in life. And if they're not where they want to be, figure out why and see how much of that you're doing.
Wow.
Because I realized throughout my life, my habits have reflected the people I'm around.
Yeah.
So every so often, take a look or make sure the people around you are the quality of people you want around you. And if they're not, change the quality of person you are.
Yeah.
Because you'll attract
kidding.
other people.
And
But do it your way.
yeah, be careful who you hang out with, especially if it's you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Cam, I just want to thank you for coming on the Grampian. I know that I'm going to encourage all my grandkids to watch this episode, and we appreciate you. Best of luck in your comedy and your speaking gig, and I think I'm going to see you on a television show. So
I hope so.
Hang on to that dream. And again, we appreciate you. Hey, everybody, go get the book Becoming Awesome.
On
Becoming
Amazon.
Awesome by Cam F. Awesome. Hey, this is the Grampian. This is Jim. I am out. When you get an opportunity, subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcast.